Alright, let's get this done before something else goes wrong. Let's see. That's off, that's off, that's off, that's on. And that's wrong. Alright, there we go. Hello! Shadowcat here. Maybe. Possibly. For how long, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm here now, so let's at least try this. It's been a I hope everyone has had a good holiday so far if you're in the US. My holiday was interesting because we had a very, very nice Independence Day, at least until 9 o'clock at night. Because at the exact moment that fireworks were supposed to start, the weather moved in and completely soaked everything for the next hour and a half. And so all plans for Independence Day night completely washed away. And I do mean quite literally. Apparently we got about 1.5 inches of water over the course of an hour. So yeah, that's a lot. And think about it. That's 1.5 inches of water in the rain gauge. That much water fell over every square inch of wherever the storm went. That is like just... That's tons of water. Literal tons. Maybe even metric tons. I don't actually know which one's bigger. Could be metric tons, could be regular tons. Either way, we got a lot of water. And then, this morning, oh my goodness, I was getting everything set up for the stream, and literally 15 minutes before the stream, the power goes out. So, since my battery backup's not working at the moment, computer goes down, internet goes down, everything goes down, have to restart everything. And then, after getting all that ready, I went to go live, I clicked the go live button, and it says that live streaming isn't available right now. No error codes, no reasons, just live streaming isn't available right now. I think it was a bug. I think I refreshed the page and it worked, so it might have just been a glitch in the program. Still though, it's been like hell getting everything working this morning. It's been awful. It's okay though, it seems to be working now. I mean, according to every button I can see, I am now live to the entire world. Let's hope it stays that way. Alright, so, naturally, before we do anything, of course, we're going to plug everything. So if you're here and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. Hit the bell icon. If you know somebody else who's also into tabletop gaming, in particular Pathfinder, in double particular Pathfinder 2nd Edition, then share this video with them. Otherwise, if you like me, like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below. If you're going to leave a comment down below, though, might I suggest you join our Discord. We got people there, we talk, we share memes. Everyone loves memes, except for the people that don't love memes, but those people are weird. And if you want to come play with us, and I would like you to come play with us, you have to join the Discord. So come to the Behind the Screens channel, let me know what games you want to play, and what your availability is, and as soon as I can get you into a group, we'll play. And of course, before I start anything else, JP is in the chat. Hello, JP. Good to see you. I see that Blizz is in the chat. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you too. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into this. And again, hope everything still works. So let's see. There's our browser. There's our spreadsheet. We'll go over real quick what we did last time. Because there's a lot of stuff. And I've been doing a lot of reading up on 2nd Edition. There's a lot of things going on that I'm still unsure about. I need to bring my chat over so I can read it easier. There we go. That looks better. Alright, so, last time we were here, I was busy setting up or building everything for the class features. None of this has really been formatted yet. I don't know how I'm going to format it yet. But, at first level, we've got our spell attack, we've got our spell DC, we've got our arcane thesis, school, and bond. Second level, I took magical shorthand, because learning spells is kind of the thing that I do. And I took cantrip expansion because having more options per day is always a good thing. I took prescient planner. What did prescient planner do? Now I don't remember. Oh no, wait, prescient planner. That's right. That was the one where after you have gone shopping, and it specifically says it resets after you go shopping. At any time, you're allowed to take some time to pull an item out of your pack that you did not previously purchase. You still have to be able to afford it, and it cannot have put you over your weight limit, but it is treated as if you always had it before. Also got Experience Professional, which is going to help me make money, which is always a good thing. Linked Focus is going to give me more focus spells per day. I took Catnap because we're going to want that later. Catnap is going to give me extra hit points. Untrained Improvisation means that I'm going to get a base level of competency with every skill that I have, even if I'm not trained in it. And Split Slot's going to give me a little bit more flexibility in the spells that I prepare. And so that's as far as we got. That's where we left off. I also deleted the rest of the numbers because, I mean, I'm not going to bother figuring any numbers until we're done with this. It's a lot easier that way than trying to keep up with updating everything level to level, especially when we're doing so many levels. So, let's go ahead and get into it. So, coming back to the wizard. And starting at level 7 now. Level 7 is going to get us 4th rank spells. I love new spells. We're going to get 4th rank spells. Expert Spellcaster. Okay, so Expert Spellcaster. Let's see what that does. Extended practice of the arcane has improved your capabilities. Your proficiency ranks for spell attack modifier and spell DC increased to expert. Interesting. Okay. So this up here is going to operate a little bit more like this does down here. So, in reality, I'm going to want to kind of rearrange things here. I'm just going to go ahead and move... Actually, you know what? I'm gonna rearrange things a little bit here because this is not working for me. Do I have 3 up here? I do. I'm gonna put the skills up there. That way, this is all much more easily visible. Okay, and since I've got this up here, why don't I also put my spell attack and spell DC down here? I'm also going to need to have perception too. So perception and passive perception. Because I did notice that on the character sheet, perception is kind of its own thing. It's no longer considered a skill. For some reason. It's just... Nothing has actually changed. They just put it in a different place. So I'm going to put it back over here with the skills just because that's kind of where it belongs. So there we go. And we can go ahead and just merge those cells. And there we go. It looks good. Now that I've moved that, do I have a proficiency? Yes, I'm trained in perception. So, we can make these orange. And we just became an expert in spell attack in DC. We can make those yellow. So that works out pretty well. And that also means that I can delete these over here because we just moved them down there. We can move that up, and that cleans things up a little bit. Okay. So, getting back to level 7 then. Expert Spellcaster, we just got it. General Feat. Okay. Need to get back to feats. General feats. So first off, let's go down to level 7 and see what we can find. Let's group them by level. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted to see. All right. Now, are there any of these that I can actually take? So, Advanced First Aid requires a Master in Medicine. Adventurous Outfitter requires a Master in Crafting, which we ain't got. Acrobatics Mastery requires a Master in Acrobatics. I thought these were no skill. Well, no, I just hit General, didn't I? Okay, let's just go General, no skill. Okay. Maybe there's something we can take here. Wow! Well, that certainly cut things down. Blood Sense requires a Master in Perception. Well, technically, Perception's not a skill anymore. Expeditious Search requires a Master in Perception. Numb to Death requires Die Hard. And that you have died at least once. That's a rough prerequisite. Prescient Consumable requires Prescient Planner. Well, now here we go. We're actually prepared for something here. You can predict which consumables you might need in advance. When using Prescient Planner, you can procure a consumable item from your backpack instead of a piece of adventuring gear. The consumable item must still be common with a level no higher than half your level, and its bulk must be low enough that you carrying it wouldn't have made you encumbered. Well, there we go. And Super Taster requires a Master in Perception. We have only one option. Literally, of all the things here, we only have one option, and if we had not taken Prescient Planner, we would have 0 options. Well, I mean, technically we could take anything from a lower level as well, but the point is, holy crap. I mean, how can you have a level with, like, no options? And why are these things in here if you need a master's or a mastery of perception anyway? If it says no skill, it should be available to everyone. Well, I guess we're going to take the only thing that we can. Prescient Consumable. Alright. We're going to get another one of those at level 9, I think. Or no, wait. General Feat at level 7. Level 9. It's an Ancestry Feat. Level 11 we'll get another General Feat, so let's hope that we can come up with something better by then. Alright, and we also get a skill increase. So the skill increase allows us to... Where was that? Down here. Either increase my proficiency to trained in a skill that I'm untrained for, or increase my proficiency in one skill that I'm already trained in to expert. Okay, well, I'm already an expert in Arcana. Maybe I did that wrong, I'm not sure. I've already got a lot of skills, so I should really be upgrading something. Preferably a yellow. Let's go with diplomacy. It's always good to have a good diplomacy. So we'll make diplomacy an expert. Okay. And that should take us into level 8. So level 8 we get a skill feat and a wizard feat. So we'll go with the skill feat first. As far as skills go, we did just up our diplomacy, so let's see what we get for here. Level 8. There's no level 8, but there is level 7s. And level 7 requires mastery in diplomacy, which we just did. So, let's see. Entourage requires master in diplomacy and hobnobber. So we don't have that, we can't do it. Evangelize requires a master in diplomacy, follower of a specific religion or philosophy. Don't have that either. Seasoned command requires a master in diplomacy or a master of intimidation. And it just says allies intuitively follow your orders. Let's see. Choose an ally within 30 feet and attempt a diplomacy or intimidation check against a hard DC for that ally's level. This counts as a preparatory action for aid or to aid that ally. Regardless of your result, the ally is then temporarily immune to your further uses of seasoned command for 1 minute. If we succeed, you immediately gain an additional reaction that can be used only to aid the chosen ally, and a +1 circumstance bonus to your skill check or roll to that aid. With a regular success, we do not get the circumstance bonus, and if we fail, we don't get anything. I mean, doesn't sound particularly useful that much. And that brings us back to Shameless Request, which is about the only one that we qualify for. You can downplay the consequences or outrageousness of your request by using sheer brazenness and charm. When you request something, you reduce the DC or any DC increases for making an outrageous request by 2. And if you roll a critical failure on your request, you just get a regular failure instead. While this means you can never cause your target to reduce their attitude toward you by making a request, they eventually tire of requests, even though they still have a positive attitude toward you. Interesting. Gonna look at diplomacy to see exactly what this means. Gather information, make an impression, request. Here we go. You make a request to a creature that is friendly or helpful to you. You must couch the request in terms that the target would accept given their current attitude towards you. The GM sets the DC based on the difficulty of the request. Some requests are unsavory or impossible, and even a helpful NPC would never agree to them. Okay. So that's what we're changing here. And what they're talking about is, first off, on failure, the target refuses a request, though they might propose an alternative. And on a critical failure, not only do they refuse the request, but their attitude towards you decreases by 1 step. If we take this feat, we could eliminate critical failure entirely. It's not exactly the thing that I would like to take, but given that we don't have a whole lot of options, I suppose we take the tools that we have and we make the best of it. So, Shameless Request it is. It's either that or we find something else. I mean, we could check something like Arcana, which is, you know, much more our level. Quite literally. But there's only one thing here, and that's quick recognition. So it requires prerequisites on a Master in Arcana, which we have, and Recognize Spell, which we have, actually. You recognize spells quickly. Once per round, you can recognize a spell using a skill in which your master is a free action. And this leads to Clever Counterspell and Mythic Counterspell. Well, now that is kind of interesting. Clever Counterspell requires quick recognition, but also requires Counterspell, which we don't have. Still, though, maybe it'd be a better option. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that. We'll replace that. Quick recognition. Alright. And then we get a wizard feat. So we'll take a look at what we got for level 8. And level 8 gives us an advanced school spell. You gain access to the advanced teachings of your institution. We get Bond Conservation. By efficiently and carefully manipulating the arcane energies of your bond, you can conserve just enough power to cast another spell, although the second spell is slightly weaker. Chaotic Spell. Your foe can hardly predict and counter your moves, if you yourself have no idea what will happen. So, the secret of chaotic magic, your foe can barely predict it. The next action you use to cast a spell that deals acid, cold, electric, fire, or sonic damage, roll a d6. The spell's damage type changes to the type below, associated with the result of the roll, and the creature who is damaged by the spell takes the listed additional effect. Wow, that's weird. So if you were to use a spell like Frostbite, which creates a snow globe around your target, you would then instead change the damage type to literally anything else. It would then be an acid globe, or an electric globe, or a fire globe, or a force globe, or a sonic globe. That's weird. I don't want it. I like my spells to be reliable. Form retention. You've trained your mind and body how to tolerate polymorph magic. I don't like polymorph magic. And JP says, LOL, hey, just went live for me. Really? I ended up starting a couple of minutes late, but I've been going at this for like 25 minutes now. That is weird. I wonder if there's something wrong with YouTube this morning. I don't know. Well, sorry. You didn't miss too much. I went over everything we did last week, but you were here last week. The only thing that we've done so far is I took Prescient Consumable at level 7. The only reason being it was the only option at level 7. And the only reason it was an option at level 7 is because we took Prescient Planner at level 3. And then level 8, I took Quick Recognition as a skill feat, and now I'm looking at Wizard feat. So Form Retention is for Polymorph. I don't even really like Polymorph. So there's that. Helt's Spell Dance. So he knows a special technique to hide the spells as part of a performance. Requires access of the firebrands at the rank of 2nd mark or higher to access this feat. That's not happening. And then knowledge is power. Oh, and JP says, YouTube doesn't want to work on the holiday weekend. I mean, for all I know, there isn't anybody up there working the holiday weekend. Anyway, knowledge is power. Your academic knowledge about a creature allows you to subtly alter your magic to defeat them. When you critically succeed at a recall knowledge check about a creature, you can invoke your knowledge or to make the creature take a -1 circumstance penalty to either AC or saves against the next attack you make against it, or the next spell you cast that it needs to defend against. The creature takes the same penalty to its attack and DC the next time it attacks against you, or causes you to attempt to save against one of its effects. Now, see, the interesting thing about that is that only happens on a critical, and so I think they really, really want you to roll a lot of dice, which I don't think is a bad thing. One of the things that I have tried to impress upon my players is that you have skills. Use them. Like, I don't care if you think it seems a little bit silly to culture check a door. If the door can tell you anything about their culture, it's worth it, and you can throw your dice at anything you want. You can perception check anything. You can culture check anything. You can recall knowledge whenever you want. The dice are there to help you. And so knowledge and power seems a little bit niche because it only affects a critical. But if you were to use your recall knowledge about every creature you come across, a critical roll is 5%. Then, I think, if I understand this right, because it was mentioned in the comments of the last video or the last stream that I did, or no, not the last one before that. I guess there's a critical effect where if you roll 5 or 10 over the DC, it automatically counts as a critical. And so that makes them much more reliable. If that's true, then this ability gets even better. Not to mention there are so many skills and, feats rather, that either turn your critical failures into just regular failures and turn your successes into critical successes. I have to believe that there is a way to make this reliable enough to make it useful. And PC's in. Hello, PC. It's good to see you. I don't know why I waved. You can't see me waving. Can I culture check the yogurt? Actually, you can. As it turns out, yogurt is very cultured. Alright, so I need to pick something from this very short list, and frankly, I don't find my options here overwhelming. I guess I'm taking Advanced School Spell, because I don't really like the other options. And that kind of sucks, because I kind of wish I had more options then. So, Advanced School Spell. So, JP says, seems like rolling 5 or 10 over would happen more often than sticking with the nat 20. Does that diminish the occurrence? No? I don't understand what you mean by would that diminish the occurrence. It would only... Oh, okay. Does that... I don't think occurrence is the word you wanted. I think significance is the word you wanted. Yeah, you said nat 20 would seem to be more meaningful. True. However, I think that... Again, and I think we have to glean the interpretation of the people that were making second edition when they came in. I've already stated that I do not care for the proficiency system because it adds level to every roll, which kind of hard locks lower and higher levels out of things. It's going to force the GM to kind of balance things a little bit more, because if level gets added to everything, it means that higher levels are almost guaranteed to steamroll over lower levels. And lower levels really stand no chance at all. My example given was things like armor class. Since the armor class adds your level, at higher levels, I mean, the only way a lower level would actually be able to even hit you would be with a natural 20. And I don't really care for that. But because they have inflated these numbers so much, they just kind of wanted it to be like, oh look, big numbers on sheet. Everybody loves big numbers on sheet, right? Everybody loves big numbers. Which then takes us into the whole critical system, where I think they wanted people to get more crits. Why? Well, because everybody loves crits. Who doesn't love critical effects? So, since a natural 20 happens very rarely, literally only 5% of the time, I think they put in the added effects so that people could have more critical effects. Because everybody loves crits. And then they tied in more effects to the criticals, so that now when you get the more criticals, you get more effects. And again, this kind of comes back to the way I look at it, where all I kind of see is just dangly keys. Look at the dangly keys. Does it cheapen it? I mean, you're asking a nat 20 would seem to be more meaningful. I tend to agree with you. I do think that having this added system of additional critical effects does cheapen it a little. But I think that's why they were doing it. All right, though. Let's get back into this. Level 9. So getting back to the class features, level 9 gives me access to 5th rank spells. What else do we get at this rank? Or at this level? An ancestry feat. Well, we're actually kind of prepared for that one. So we'll go back to the catfolk. We'll go back up to catfolk feats. Oh, there's universal ancestry feats too. We didn't even look at these. Let's see, JP says they created this mechanic to make streaming sessions more exciting for viewers. I mean, I don't think they did that specifically for streaming sessions for viewers. I think they just did it to get more people in. It's the same thing that like 5e was trying to do, or Dungeons & Dragons was trying to do with 5e. Which is, they looked at 5e, they looked at people, and they said, it's not accessible enough. We need to simplify things. Actually, that wasn't 5e that did that. Technically 4e did that, and 4e did it horribly. 4th edition just stripped so very much out of what made the game enjoyable that nobody even liked it anymore. Like, the people that were playing 4e did not like 4e. That's how bad it was. 5th edition, they gave a lot of stuff back, and a lot of people that played 4e looked at 5e and said, you know what? It's better. I'll take it. Even though if like 3.5 was peak Dungeons & Dragons, which I think it was. If the 3.5 was peak, if that was like 100%, okay? 4th edition was like 25%, okay? 4th edition was garbage. It was terrible. And so they scrapped it entirely, and then they made 5e, and 5e is back to about 50 to 66%, okay? About 1/2 to 2/3 the quality that 3.5 was. It's also about 50% to 66% the complexity that 3.5 was, which makes it a lot more approachable for other people, which is what they wanted, because the more accessible they make it, the more people they can get to buy their books. At the end of the day, they are a business. Do I think this is a good excuse? No, I think this is a terrible excuse. JP says, lowering the bar should not be the answer, though. It becomes a celebration of mediocrity. Blizz says, agreed. Raise your players up. If you have no interest, I hate to say, maybe the game isn't for you. I tend to agree. If you want to play the game, you're going to have to put in a little bit of work. However, that work will be worth it. Trust me. Because this is an amazing game, it tells amazing stories, and that means that you need to be amazing. So let's make you amazing. Alright. And second edition basically followed the same example that the same example that 5e did, where they said we need to simplify everything, we need to make it much easier for people to understand, and in doing so we'll get more people to come and play. Well, I think it's a bad idea. I think you should definitely make it easier to onboard people, but don't simplify the whole game. Alright, anyway, looking at universal ancestry feats, because I don't know if there's anything in here that I actually want, but we didn't look at it before, so let's look at it. I mean, look at this. Like, there's almost no prerequisites. There's a few prerequisites, but, you know. So let's see. Animal soul siblings. Your eyes have been opened to the spiritual essence suffusing the world. Let's try that again. You feel a sense of deja vu when you've made a mistake, almost as if you weren't so careless in a past life, and certainly would do better if given another chance. That almost sounds like luck. Reroll the triggering skill check and use the new result even if it's worse. That's cool. It says this feat may contain spoilers from the Season of the Ghost Adventure path, though. JP says, dumb it down? That's an insult to those of us who survived things like 2nd edition and THAC0. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put you in timeout just for even saying the word THAC0 in my presence. Okay? We don't use that word. Let's see. Like a roach? Living with the bare necessities isn't terribly hard for somebody who has defied death, and like a cockroach, you always know how to survive. You know, so far I'm not exactly thrilled with a lot of these ancestries. Here's Fey influence, though. So all of these things down here that require Fey influence, yeah, there's the feat to take. Let's see. The source, don't really care about that. It doesn't appear there's any prerequisites for it. You've been exposed to powerful Fey magic. You become trained in primal DCs and spell attack rolls. You gain the Fey trait and one of the following features that grants an innate primal spell that can be used once per day. Either Anteater, Cat Sith, Cursed Bluebird, Dryad, Fawn, Gremlin, Monarch, and Unicorn. Interesting. Blizz says, I never played 1 or 2. I feel bad for those players. And JP says, you should. Oh my goodness. So, like, 1st edition Dungeons & Dragons was not great. However, it wasn't great because they kind of loved it too much. The problem with the problem with first edition is that they tried to simulate everything. I mean, first edition was the edition where you actually had to write down what your character's dominant hand was. Are you right-handed or left-handed? Because they actually had rules for doing things with your dominant hand or with your offhand. Usually that applied to things like weapons and such. However, if you were trying to use or do a skill check or cast a spell or something and you had to do so with your offhand, there were penalties for that. It was one of those things that they thought was important at the time, but wasn't really important at the time. So when they moved on to second edition, they said, okay, obviously there were some things that we could clean up, some things that we didn't necessarily need. We don't need to know who or what your dominant hand is. Let's just go ahead and assume that you're using your dominant hand. Of course, then second edition introduced Thaco because they said, you know what would be better instead of counting your armor class up? What if we counted your armor class down? What if you had an armor class of -4? PC says, okay, next round, everybody do a heartbeat check. Okay, they never did that. They never did that. However, I'm pretty sure that there was some rule in second edition for manually breathing. It would not have surprised me. Second edition, they said, you know what, let's just rebuild what we did, and we're going to do it better. They did not do it better. And the sad thing about that is, second edition went for years. So if you were a Dungeons & Dragons player, it was a long road from second edition to third edition. And third edition was so much better. But you were stuck with second edition for a long time. Anyway, I'm not taking Fey Influence. Let's go back to Catfolk feats. So we are currently level 9. So we do have level 9 options. Wary Skulker. You can perform the Scout exploration activity at the same time as the Avoid Notice exploration activity. Interesting. Except that I'm not a scout. And, oh, JP says, yeah, 2E was a slog for years. And you know what? I didn't even play the tabletop version. I missed that. But, like, everyone is talking about Baldur's Gate 3 still, because Baldur's Gate 3 is supposed to be this amazing game. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm not having fun with it. It's kind of why I haven't... It's why I haven't actually done an episode of Baldur's Gate 3 on my channel in, like, a month. Because every time I sit down to play it, I don't want to. Like, I remember playing Baldur's Gate 2, and I really enjoyed Baldur's Gate 2, and I sit down to play Baldur's Gate 3, and I don't want to. The fact of the matter is that, like, I'm much happier being the DM than the player. And every time I sit down to play Baldur's Gate 3, it's like, I want to do this thing. Oh. But I can't. It's not in the rules. It's not in the programming. It's like, why does my minor illusion have to be a cat every time? I want to use it for, like, actual distractions. Okay? I want to do these things. I want a DM that I can argue with. Okay? I want to be able to make my case. And Baldur's Gate 3 is, like, way limiting for that. And it might be fine if you're used to playing a class that doesn't have nearly as much complexity. Like, if you're used to playing a fighter or a ranger or something, everything is pretty straightforward. because there's not a lot of interpretation into it. There are some things that you could do, like if you are a fighter and you're like super strong, you can start making arguments for, what can I do with my strength? It's like, can I lift a thing? Sure. Can I drag a thing? Sure. What if you wanted to make a distraction as a fighter? What if there was like a stone pillar that you wanted to push over? And as it shatters on the ground, you use that as your chance to get around something. Like, it's the creativity that really makes tabletop gaming what it is. It's why 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons failed so hard. They stripped all the creativity out of it. And they turned it into a video game. Quite literally. I believe it was Cryptic Studios that made Neverwinter Online. I think it was. Which is based in 4th edition, and it plays like a video game. You get a basic spell, you get a selection of advanced spells, and then you get a once per day signature spell. And that applies to everybody. If you are a fighter, you get regular attacks, and then you get advanced attacks, and you get a once per day signature attack. And it's like, why? Why would you do this? JP says, you want to mess up a fighter? Play the Fencer subclass. Glad that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it probably does, actually. You know what? Hold on a second. Because Pathfinder has what are called archetypes. Pathfinder has what are called archetypes, which are exactly what you think they are. Fighter archetypes. Now, I don't know how archetypes necessarily work in this one, but Warrior of Legend, and that's it. Warrior of Legend is it. Okay, never mind. This was a bad example. All right, hold on. I'm going back to Pathfinder 1. Fighter. Actually, Fencer might be a bard archetype, too. It could be. Anyway, archetypes and alternates. Let's see. Fencer. Fencer or duelist or something like that. Don't have Fencer or duelist. Opportunist fighter. That's not exactly what we're looking for either. No. I don't see any of these in here. Let me check Bard. Because it could be a Bard thing, actually. Buccaneer, Busker, Daredevil, Dervish Dancer, Duettist. No, I don't see a Fencer in here either, or a Duelist. Oh well. It's alright. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. You're making a joke. You were making a joke. I walked right into it. Signature attack, branding your name into them. Pray for mercy. Mercy from Puss. In boots. Okay. Let's get back into this. I still need a catfolk feat. So I just looked at Wary Skulker, but that's not really my thing. Silent Step. You step and then hide or sneak. Sense for Trouble requires Cat's Luck. Predator's Growl requires Expert in Intimidation. No Evidence requires Expert in Survival. Luck of the Clouder requires Cat's Luck. Oh, and Blizz has to go. Well, Blizz, I'm glad that you came out today. It was good to have you here, and you take care. Let's see. Evade Doom. You can elude supernatural disaster. When you would gain the doomed condition, you can attempt a DC 17 flat check. On a success, you don't gain the doomed condition. I haven't really looked at conditions yet. What is doomed and what does it do? Your soul has been gripped by a powerful force that calls you closer to death. Doomed always includes a value. So it'll be Doomed 1, Doomed 2, Doomed 3, etc. The dying value at which you die is reduced by your doomed value. If your maximum dying value is reduced to 0, you instantly die. Holy crap, you can kill somebody by dooming them. Wow. When you die, you are no longer doomed. Your doomed value decreases by 1 each time you get a full night's rest. That's interesting. So, unlike a lot of other conditions, it doesn't just instantly go away. Okay, then. I don't know how often that's going to be useful, but maybe? And JP says, holy crap, Doom Clock is back. That is not a spell that I remember. At least I don't think I remember it. Maybe I do? I'm not sure. Aggravating Scratch requires a claw unarmed attack. I don't think I have that. Well-groomed. You're fastidious about keeping clean. How is that helpful? +2 circumstance bonus on saving throws against diseases. Interesting. If you roll a success on a saving throw against disease, you get a critical success instead. There's what I'm talking about. Like we were just talking about how many things are tied to a critical success, and how many different ways there are to get those critical successes reliably. Here's one. So if you have a different ability that would improve the save in this way, such as Battle Hardened Fighter class feature, if you roll a critical failure on the save, you get a normal failure instead. Again, there are so many ways to push your rolls, or rather your results, up that chain. Of course, I think there's probably going to be other ways, like when we get to spells, to push other people down, where if they get a success, it becomes a failure. If they get a failure, it becomes a critical failure. It just kind of makes sense that if you can push it one way, you can push it the other way. Leaping Springer requires athletics. I don't have it. Pride Hunter only really works if you're together with other people. Lucky Break requires Cat's Luck. Light Paws. You can bounce on your toes carefully over obstructions. You stride and then step, or step and then stride, ignoring difficult terrain. I have no idea what the difference between step and stride is. I have to imagine that step is like a guarded step, but then it would say guarded step. There's spells up here. Maybe I can find the rules for this. Game mastery, no. Rules, actions. Here we go. Aid, crawl, delay, drop, escape. Step, here we go, step. You carefully move 5 feet. Unlike most types of movement, stepping does not trigger reactions, such as reactive strike, that can be triggered by move actions upon leaving or entering a square. Okay, so there we go. It is basically the same thing as a guarded step, except that they might have a different word for that. So, step and stride both take 1 action, which means that you could do it anyway. However, it says that you cannot step into difficult terrain, and this would allow you to do so. I feel like it's not really all that useful. Graceful Guidance. You can demonstrate how to quickly twist out of the way of dangerous effects. You can use the aid reaction to grant a bonus to an ally's reflex save. As usual for aid, you need to prepare by using an action on your turn to encourage the ally. Or Focus Catnap, which we already have the Catnap prerequisite and a focus pool. We were looking at this before. So when you Catnap, you also refocus as you dream of a relevant activity. And Refocus says you literally spend 10 minutes performing deeds to restore your magical connection. This restores 1 focus point to your focus pool. The deeds you need to perform are specified in the class or ability that gives you your focus spells, but since we already took Catnap, we can literally gain a focus point back by napping. We were already building up to it, we're going to take it. Focused Catnap. There we go. All right. Do we get anything else at level 9? Then we've got an ancestry feat. Magical Fortitude. Does that just increase my my proficiency in Fortitude? Magical power has improved your body's resiliency. Your proficiency rank in Fortitude increases to Expert. Yes, that's exactly what happens. So, Fortitude turns yellow. Alright, so now we are an expert in all of them. It's good, I suppose. And last but not least, we get another skill increase. So, looking at skills, I've already got Sighted and Expert. I could bring that up. And I think that I will. So let's go ahead and make ourselves an expert in society. So there we go. And that should take us into level 10 then. So first things first, at level 10, I get attribute boost, which is going to be 4 points to spend. Since my dexterity is already all the way up and my intelligence is already all the way up, I suppose we'll just do the other one. So we're going to get a +1 strength. That'll go up to +3, +3, and +2. That makes that easy. Assuming that I've done this right, which I may not have. But it is my first attempt at converting a character, so we're working on it. We're working on it. Also, I'm looking at the armor class down here, and like this seems a little redundant. I can get rid of these. I am trained in unarmored, and the rest of these I can simply blank out because I'm not trained in those at all. I suppose that means I should actually be turning these yellow. And this does not need to be filled. So there we go. We got that. Alright, moving on. We're moving on. Level 10. So at level 10, we get the attribute boost, we get a skill feat, and a wizard feat. Yay, skill feats. Okay, well, I'm already in the Arcana feats. Let's see if we can get something new at level 11. And the answer is no. There is literally nothing here for level 11. Okay, we just upped Society. Is there a level 11 for Society? No, there's not. Is there anything for level 11? Group by level. You have got to be kidding me. There is exactly one. Oh, wait, no, I'm looking for level 10s. Never mind. I'm looking for level 10s. Well, no, hold on. I am looking for level 10s, but there's only 4 level 10s. What the hell is this? There are, in the entire setting, only 4 level 10 skill feats. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As it turns out, there are at least 5 skills. There's at least 5 of them. How in the hell are there only 4 skills at level 10? You know, for that matter, I'm looking at this, there is no level 9. It goes from level 8 to level 10. So there are 4 skills in level 10, and there are 0 at level 9. Who the hell made this? Can I even use any of these? Hold on. Level 10. Comforting Present requires a master in occultism. Nope. Emissary of Peace requires a Knight Vigilant and master in diplomacy. Well, I've got the diplomacy, but I'm not a Knight Vigilant. Master of Obfuscation requires a master in a skill with recall knowledge and Scroll Master Dedication. Well, I'm pretty sure I have... yeah, because I can recall knowledge in Arcana. I don't have Scroll Master Dedication, though. I don't even know what that one is. I'll look at it in a moment. And Uzanjati Recollection requires Uzanjati Storytelling. Who the hell has that? Okay, so, Masterful Obfuscation. You've mastered the art of deceiving others about your areas of study. When you gain this feat, choose one skill with Recall Knowledge action in which you have attained the Master Proficiency. You can attempt to deceive others about the truth of facts and knowledge related to that skill, such as by pretending to know something that you don't, planting false information or the like, using the Lie action of Deception skill. When you lie in this way, attempt your skill check using the skill you selected when you gain this feat instead of Deception. Applying all bonuses or penalties related from the selected skill to the check. While it's easier to convince someone who knows nothing about your chosen false information, on a critical success, you can even convince somebody who has heard something contradictory. Okay, that's interesting, I suppose, but it requires Scroll Master Dedication, which requires an archetype. So you can't even take this if you don't have an archetype. This is garbage. 2 levels, 9 and 10, at which we can't pick anything. Anything at all. It's all just gone. There's nothing there. And I mean, look at level 7, there are 71 results that we haven't loaded in, which is probably where we're going to have to go if we're going to get another feat. Look at this, level 5. Level 5 is exactly 1. Cutting Flattery requires the Dandy Dedication or Pirate Dedication. Who the hell designed this and what were they smoking? This is terrible design. How hard is it? How hard would it be to go through every single skill and make a feat for every single level? That means that once you do that, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You would have a minimum of 17 feats per level. Mind you, that means that you would only have access to feats in which you have, the skills for. But 17 per level, and then if you were to do another pass and add another one for every level, that goes up to 34. And even on the first pass, we already have more skills per level than they have in the book right now. This is stupid design. This isn't just bad. This is my words fail me for how bad this is. And PC says, how many skills do I get? 999! Alright, well, that is pretty accurately how many skills that I'm getting, or how many feats that I'm getting. Well, I guess we'll just go through what we've got. Was there anything in Arcana that I didn't get already? Quick Recognition, we already took that one. Magical Shorthand, I already took that one. I don't know. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted at how bad this is. I need to pick a skill or a skill feat, and I have to pick a skill feat from basically no options. I took basically everything that I wanted. There's Arcane Sense up here. Your study of magic allows you to instinctively detect its presence. You can cast the first rank Detect Magic at will as an arcane innate spell. If you're a master in Arcana, it's heightened to 3rd rank. If you're legendary, it's heightened to 4th rank. Sure, why not? It's not like I have a whole lot of options to pick from. How is it this bad? We also get a wizard feat. Hopefully that's not worse. Wizard feat for level 10. We have 3 options. Overwhelming energy. With a complex gesture, you call upon the primal power of your spell to overwhelm your enemy's resistances. If the next action you use to cast a spell, or is to cast a spell, the spell ignores an amount of the target's resistance to cold, acid, electric, fire, or sonic equal to your level. Which, as we're taking this, would be 10. That's not bad, actually. This applies to all damage the spell deals, including persistent damage and damage caused by ongoing effects of the spell, such as a wall created by a wall of fire. A creature's immunities are unaffected. But if they're resistant to it, you can ignore their resistance. Again, it's not always useful, but when we look at things like, cantrips, you can only carry so many cantrips per day. If you're carrying one attack cantrip that only does one type of damage, Firebolt, and you come across something that's resistant to fire, if you've got overwhelming energy, it's actually a usable spell again. It's not bad. Quickened casting. If your next action is to cast a cantrip or a spell at least 2 ranks lower than your highest rank, reduce the number of actions to cast it by 1 to a minimum of 1 action. Interesting. I wonder what that does to spells that don't use actions. Some spells actually take time. They'll take 10 minutes to cast, because 10 minutes is the general catch-all for anything done outside of combat. What does quicken casting do for that? Maybe it doesn't? I'm not sure. It probably doesn't affect it at all, actually. And Scroll Adept. During your daily preparations, you can create 2 temporary scrolls containing arcane spells from your spellbook. Each scroll must be of a different spell rank, and both spell ranks must be 2 or more ranks lower than your highest spell rank. Any scrolls you create this way become non-magical the next morning when you make your daily preparations. The temporary scroll has no value if sold. As a normal scroll, these are consumable items of light bulk, and somebody holding the item in one hand may cast the spell from it if it's in their if it's on their spell list, using their spell attack modifier and spell DC. Wait, hold on. Am I understanding this right? They may cast the spell from the scroll if the spell on the scroll is also on their spell list. If the spell was already on their spell list, why would they need the scroll in the first place? That's kind of the point of scrolls. You cast the spell that's on the scroll. Why? It's written on the goddamn scroll. Why would it need to be in your spellbook? Unless I'm misinterpreting this. It says spell list. Are they actually being like really careful with this? Because if we're talking about spell list, do they mean this over here? Arcane, Divine, Occult, Primal. Yeah, I guess that's the 4 of them. So are they trying to say that you can only cast a scroll that your class would be able to cast? I think that phrasing it that way would be better. I think if they rephrased it, you can only cast a spell from a scroll if it is appropriate to your class, would be a bit clearer instead of your spell list. Maybe that's just me, though. That does make more sense. I'm going to choose to interpret it that way. Alright, well, I gotta pick one of them, or something from a lower level. You know, Scroll Adept does give more preparations, but we took quick recognition the other level. That said, it was going to lead up into it was going to lead to quick counterspell, wasn't it? If I went back and took counterspell right now, or no, clever counterspell is what it was. Clever counterspell. PC says, what's taking him so long with the spell? Wizard thinking, do-do-do. Manamana, do-do-do-do-do. Manamana, do-do-do-do. Manamana, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Manamana, do-do-do-do-do. Charge. I mean, most of the spells that take a long time are not combat spells anyway. I believe that they copied from 5e and they called them ritual spells, which I actually did see over here. Yeah, rituals right here. So, a ritual is an esoteric complex spell that anyone can cast. It takes much longer to cast a ritual than a normal spell, but rituals have more powerful effects. And so, looking at these, are there any in here that I like? No. Oh, look at that! Gios! Gios is in here! Wow, it takes one. Does it still do what I think it does? Primate check is Arcana, Occultism, Religion. You enforce a magical rule on a willing target, forcing it to either perform or refrain from a certain act. Yes, to perform an act is usually conditional, such as always offer hospitality to strangers seeking a place to stay. An unconditional guest perform an act doesn't require the target to perform the act exclusively, though it must prioritize the task above all leisurely pursuits. The most common gias to refrain from carrying out an act is a specification to avoid violating a contract. In those cases, no, it actually does seem like gias. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, there we go. Fix that. I was going to go on forever. Let's see. So, critical success, the GS succeeds. Oh, PC says I rolled a crit fail. Well, these things happen. Critical success, the guest succeeds. The target receives a +1 status bonus to skill checks that directly uphold the Gias. Of course, at the GM's discretion. Success, the Gias succeeds. Failure, the Gias fails. Critical failure, the Gias fails. And you are instead affected by the Gias that you were attempting to place as the target. It is kind of funny. Wow, that takes a full day to cast it. What did Gias look like in Pathfinder 1? Because that was a spell that I really enjoyed. Beats? No, hold on a second. And PC says, I thought Gias was just a thing invented for the anime. Oh, no. No. Gias is actually an ancient word. I want to say it's Greek, but I'm not positive on that one. I don't know the exact origins of the word, but it's old. However, in Pathfinder 1, the wizard had at level 4, 4th level spell, Lesser Gias. And Lesser Gias, let me go down and look at this one first. So it places a magical command in a creature. By the way, the casting time for this was 1 round. 1 round. They increased the casting time of Gias. Hold on, let me get my calculator out here. 24 hours in a day times 60 minutes is 1,440. Times 60 seconds is 86,400 divided by 6 seconds in a round. They increased the time by 14,400 times. But for a casting time of 1 round, a lesser gas places a magical command on a creature to carry out some service or to refrain from an action in the course of activity desired by you. The creature must have 7 or fewer hit dice and be able to understand you, while Gias cannot compel a creature to kill itself or perform acts that would result in certain death. It can cause almost any other course of activity. And this is why I actually carried Gias on my own character, because it is a very, very open-ended spell. It is absolutely one of those spells where the GM is going to pay very, very close attention, because this is one of those spells that is alignment changing. I've made no secret that to my players in any game that I've played, that I have their alignment that they wrote down on their character, and then I have my own alignment for them that I keep secret. because they can call themselves whatever they want, but their actual deeds and actions determine what their alignment is. And so if you put yourself down as a chaotic neutral character, but every single time you walk into town, you obey the laws, well, you're not really chaotic then. You're just neutral. I mean, maybe you disobey a law sometimes. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not. But by and large, you're not chaotic. You're not trying to buck the system. So I keep track of people's alignments, and it comes in handy because if somebody were to cast, say, Detect Evil, or they walk into a building where it says, detection of evil is active in this place, and they say, well, I guess I can't go in there, but they have to. If they walk in there and nothing happens, well, that may make them scratch their head a little bit. Of course, the inverse can happen as well. Gias, however, is one of those where you get to do almost anything. And if you command another creature to do an evil act, that in itself is an evil act. Then again, if you command somebody to better their life somehow, that could be determined, could be, not guaranteed, to be a good act. Now, it does say the instructions involve some if the instructions involve some open-ended task that the recipient cannot complete things through their own actions, it remains in effect for a maximum of 1 day per caster level. A clever recipient can subvert some instructions. And again, this is where we get into the open-ended nature of tabletop games. This is something that Baldur's Gate 3 could never do. And it's one of the reasons why I'm just so struggling to play Baldur's Gate 3, because every time I go in there, I feel constrained. Something like Gias is completely open-ended, and it really wants the players to think about what they're doing. And this is just Lesser Gias. There is a higher level version. Lesser Gias is level 4. The actual full Gias is level 6. And it does the same thing. It says it functions similar to Lesser Gias, except that it affects creatures of any hit die and allows no saving throw. And PC says, so Obi-Wan saying, you want to go home and rethink your life, was a Gias skill. Yes, that is exactly it. So Gias is actually the last spell in a long line of spells. If you want to follow this, the first spell is Command. Okay? So, Command. Where is it? That's Liberating Command. Command Undead. Where is it? Or did they rename it? Hold on. No, they wouldn't have renamed it. It's going to be Command. I know it's Command. Why can't I find it in here? Divination. It would be an enchantment, I think. Hypnotism. No. Lock gaze, keep watch, sleep. Is it not in here? Maybe it's not there? Is it second level? Maybe it's second level. It's not abjuration, it's not conjuration, it's gonna be enchantment. I'm almost positive. Daze, no. I can't find it. Okay, maybe it's not called Command. Either way, Command, which is what it's called in basically everything else, what it's called in Starfinder in 2nd edition, everything else. Command allows you to give a simple one-word command to a creature. It is really simple. It's run, stop, drop, or fall. And it will either cause them to stop in place, run away from you, drop whatever they're holding, or drop to the ground prone. Okay? And that's all it does. You can, in theory, issue other commands. However, they must be one-word commands. It's very, very specific about that. They have to be a one-word command. Which means technically, if you wanted to command your target to dance, you can just say dance and they should. And again, this is where we get into like the open-ended nature of these things. After command, however, there is suggestion. And suggestion, you influence the targets of a creature by suggesting a course of activity limited to a sentence or two. It must be worded in such a manner as to make the activity sound reasonable. Asking a creature to do something obviously harmful automatically negates the effect. The suggested course of activity can continue for the entire duration. If the activity can be completed in a shorter time, the spell ends when it is done. But you can see that we have moved from a word to a sentence. And then suggestion naturally then leads into lesser geas. Where lesser geas, you can give somebody a course of action, but it has limited time, and they will take a penalty if they don't do it, which then leads into the full geas, or quest if you're using the divine spellbook. And full geas allows you to do basically anything. As long as they are not killing themselves or harming themselves, you can command them to do anything. And Peace says, command, beat. Oh god, not like that. Another really good example of geas, if anybody saw the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yes, I know, it wasn't a great movie. I thought it was still fun. But the woman that Logan was with, and I forget her name. I don't even remember her mutant call sign. But she had the ability to influence people through tactile contact. And not just influence, she could actually command them through tactile contact. There was the end scene for the movie. Or not the end scene, but it was close to the end. Where she comes across the bad guy in the movie. I think his name was Stryker. And while she's laying on the ground, I think she's dying, she manages to grab his leg underneath his pants, which stops him from hurting her any further, and she commands him to walk. Walk until your feet bleed, and then keep walking. And she lets him go, and he keeps walking. Or he starts walking, rather. And I think the stinger for the movie was literally when they find him, and he's completely worn through his shoes. Like, there's no sole left on them. That is essentially geas. An example. Or, if you've seen the anime Code Geass, that too. So the fact that it's actually in here, and it's a universal spell that takes one full day. It doesn't say it takes a secondary caster as well, so you can't even cast it on your own anymore. That's just... They've nerfed it to the point of it almost being unusable. I don't know. It's not great. Alright, anyway, what was I doing? Right, I still need a wizard feat. I was just looking at Counterspell. I mean, Counterspell is only useful against other casters. I'd rather have something that's more useful just all the time. There is a lot of meta magic that I don't use, or I never used to use meta magic because it used to expend higher level spell slots, and I didn't want to use those because I liked the higher level spells. Use any time you would want. It just says you can extend your spell's range as is standard for increasing spell ranges. If it has a normal range of touch, you extend its range to 30 feet. It seems like meta magic is basically free. You know, speaking of meta magic, do they have issue materials? Actually, that's a good question. Do they even use materials? Hold on a second. Going back to spells for a moment. Rules, spells, arcane spells. Where's something that traditionally always had... Yeah, here's command. Remember I was talking about command earlier? You can bid a creature to approach, run, drop, lie, or stand. Create water. Wizards finally get create water? Holy crap, it only took like 50 years for wizards to finally get create water. I don't know. Let me find something that has, let's see, does grease exist in both of them? Here we go. Grease requires components. A verbal component, somatic component, and material component, butter. Grease requires butter. I know grease still exists in here somewhere. There we go. Grease. Traditions, catalysts, waterproofing wax. Is that what... Is a catalyst what it means? It says concentrate, manipulate. Many books and spellbooks are treated in this wax form to protect from the elements, but waterproofing waxes, liquid repellent properties can be further applied to split up a grease spell into useful smaller secretions. When the spell is cast in an area while using the catalyst, the conjure grease fills 3 5-foot squares within 30 feet of its normal area. These squares do not need to be contiguous. Oh, interesting. So it changes the way the spell is cast. PC says, you get create water. It's like Scry, your spellbook disappears as the component and you are now soaked. I better not be. But that's okay because they have a new cantrip in here that I love. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where was it? I don't remember the exact name of it now because it's new. Take root, summon instrument, spout, slashing gust. No, 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 no. Oh, here we go. Draw moisture. Dry out an object and collect the water. Who needs towels when you have magic? I love magic. Anyway, looking at grease. So the catalyst changes the way it casts. Deities, range area. There is no components on this. There's no verbal component. There's no somatic component. And there's no material component. Are we just not doing components anymore? Is there no silent spell? Is there no still spell? There's really not. Spells no longer have components. Wow, that's a game changer. No more components for spells. That's insanely powerful. Okay then, so no more components for spells. Meta magic does not actually increase the level or the casting level of your spell. Wow, Wizard just got a lot better. I'm not even sure if that's necessarily for the best, but like, holy crap, it would feel weird complaining about it. I gotta look at Sorcerer and see what they got, because this is almost intruding on Sorcerer territory. Okay, so no issue materials, no silent spell, no still spell. What else do we want? The spell strikes. You siphon magic into a weapon you're doing. Until the end of your next turn, it deals an extra 1d6 force damage and gains the associated trait if you didn't have it already. If the spell dealt a different type of damage, it deals a type of damage instead. So it's basically just spell strike. Cool, but I mean, wouldn't you rather just cast your spell? Non-lethal spell would be kind of cool, actually. Conceal spell? I mean, it's meta magic, but if it doesn't, actually increase your casting level, it could be useful. It's weird. I think I'll actually take non-lethal spell, to be honest. It sounds weird, but like, I'm not exactly a combat wizard. And I'm not exactly looking to kill people. I like having the option to not do that. Alright. We'll call that good there. Let's go back and look at level 11 now, because there's a lot of stuff here. So, level 11. 6th rank spells. Kind of saw that coming, actually. Sixth rank spells. General feat. Is it? It's wrong. I should be excited to get feats. And I'm not. Every time it says go pick a feat, I dread this. So I'm level 11, right? I'm looking for an 11th level general feat. Alright, so a home in every port. Requires a charisma of +3. Do I have that? I have a charisma of +2. Not an option. However, you have a reputation in towns and villages you visited, and residents are always willing to open their doors to you. When in a town or village during downtime, you can spend 8 hours to locate a resident willing to provide lodging for you and up to 6 allies for up to 24 hours at no charge. The standard of living within the acquired lodging is comfortable, and square meals are provided at no cost. After 24 hours, you must pay standard prices for further lodging and meals, or use this feat again to find a new resident to host you. That is insanely useful. Oxima's Awakening requires exposure to the Well of Oxima. I'm going to try not to get angry here. I'm going to try really hard not to get angry here because it's not the first time I've seen this. There's a lot of other spells that say that you need to have access to certain places. I don't know if I can find one in here, but... No, I don't see one in here right now. But there are things that say that, like, you need to be a part of the Pathfinder Society in order to take this spell or this feat. Or you need to be a part of this particular school or this particular organization. It's a minor thing, but it bothers me because rules as written, that is saying that if you want to take this spell or this skill, you need to be playing in our setting. So that means that if you're not playing in that setting, you need to either house rule that there's some other way to get that, or you're just going to ignore that restriction entirely. And I get it. I get it that you can do that. I mean, I'm the GM. I can do basically anything that I want. I can house rule everything. But I shouldn't have to. Tying certain spells and certain skills to actual geographical locations, I feel like this is a mistake. It also says right down here, Oxima's Vigor may contain spoilers from Stolen Fate. I'm going to go ahead and make an assumption that Stolen Fate is a module. And having a lot of these exclusive spells and feats that come from modules is also a little bit weird. I guess I can kind of understand it. I mean, Dungeons & Dragons did that kind of thing with Neverwinter. I don't know. I feel like I might be a little out of line on this one. I don't like it, but I think that's my problem and not the game's. Alright, Caravan Leader. It requires pick up the pace, which I don't have. But, I mean, that's at least understandable. It's the only thing that it requires is pick up the pace. Incredible Investiture requires Charisma +3. Again, it requires Charisma +3. Why do we have two skills here that have the same prerequisite? So if you didn't get one, you're not getting the other. Incredible Scout requires a Master in Perception. And Sanguine Tenacity I can't see. May contain spoilers from the Shades of Blood Adventure Path. Requires Constitution +4. That's impossible as well. So I actually qualify for nothing here. Nothing at all. And by the way, I didn't qualify for anything except for Prescient Consumable from level 7 either. Which means that I just have to keep going back further and further, trying to find something that, number one, I even qualify for, and then, number two, something that is even marginally useful for me. I hate the way this is done. I really do. I hate the way this is done. So, I mean, going back and looking at level 3 skills, this is in the no skill category, by the way. I could go to just general skills and see if there's any new options. Level 11, no, it's still the same ones. There's nothing new here under general skills. Let's see. Level 10 has not changed. It's still only 1. It's Comforting Presence. And this requires a Master in Occultism. Also, again, it says access. Your character follows the ways of Sangpotash or Potchi? I'm not even sure. Again, I would just have to like house rule that it just has universal access. Level 8, Calm and Centered, requires a Master in Occultism. Wow. So if you don't have Occultism, that's 2 skills for 2 different levels, where they're the only options that you get nothing. Nothing at all. Why did they even do... Why did they arrange these by level? No, that's a serious question right there. Why are these arranged by level? Okay? If we go back to Pathfinder 1 and we go back to feats, you will notice that there are no levels in any of this. I need to pick one, so we'll go to general feats here. And yes, JP is saluting general feats, or general skills. Okay, here's what we've got in Pathfinder 1. We have the name of the feat. We have the category and type, which is general. Prerequisites and the benefit. There is no level in any of these. Now, does that mean that level doesn't exist? No, not exactly true. For example, let me find something that uses a skill. Here we go. Ancestral Scorn. It's a general feat. It requires 5 ranks in Intimidation, and it requires you to be a tiefling. Now, being a tiefling, you either are or you aren't. Okay? And I can't help with that one. 5 ranks of Intimidate, though. Notice how nothing around here says level. But you cannot have more ranks in a skill than you do your level. Your skill is going to be ranks in skill plus your class skill bonus, if you get one. Then, whatever the associated ability score is, which for Intimidate would be Charisma. And then whatever miscellaneous modifiers you get in addition to that. By making this require 5 ranks of Intimidate, it has simultaneously put a level floor in where you must be level 5 or higher to get this. They didn't have to organize them by level. It's built in. You do not put a number of required ranks in if you don't want it to have a requirement. If you didn't want to have that, you could simply just say Intimidate as a class skill. Well, actually, no, you wouldn't even want to do that, because you could take Intimidate even if you didn't have it as a class skill. Point being is you could put in something else that would make it available to any level. But no, instead we wanted it to be 5 ranks. In fact, I know how you would do it for any level. Just drop it down to at least 1 rank in Intimidate. Which, by the way, we have that in other things. I saw it up here somewhere. Where was it? Where was it? Oh, no. It was Amateur Investigator. It's like right next to it. Intelligence 13, 1 rank in at least 1 knowledge skill. There you go. That's all you would need. And now you have locked it so that they need to have some investment, but it's still open for everybody. So we can take levels out like entirely. They did here, and in doing so, it gives you options. It gives you so very many options. And I do wonder if, because Pathfinder's only been around for a few years, if maybe part of the reason why there's like nothing to pick is just because They haven't had the years and years and years to continue adding stuff, because when you look at this column, this last column over here, this is source materials. Every single one of these is a different text. There are many of them. Second edition may get a much broader list in the future, but I still think they could have done a better job right out the gate of making sure that this was playable. I mean, you should not have to desperately look for something that works for your character. You should have so many options that you can't pick one. That is the problem that players want to have. This is torture. And I have no idea. And like, I'm almost out of time for today, and I was really hoping to get at least, I'm going to get through level 12. We may run a little bit late. Okay, we may run a little bit late. Because I'm finishing this, and it's just, I got to find something that we can do. Prescient consumable. We already got that one. I mean, there's a lot of skills in here that are general, but also skills. I wonder if there's a way for me to sort through this. Filters and options. What if I did this? What if I sorted by general and arcana? Well, that definitely narrows it down a little bit. The only thing that's really an option here would be the Oxima's Awakening. If I ignored the whole thing that you have to be exposed to the Well of Oxima, choose 2 cantrips. Choose 2 cantrips from the arcane spell list. You can cast these cantrips as well as at will as an arcane innate. The cantrip is heightened to the spell level equal to half your level rounded up. Then choose a first level spell and 1 second level spell from the arcane spells list. You can cast each of these spells once per day as an arcane innate. These spells are gained from this feat must be common spells or spells to which you have access. I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to ignore this whole Well of Oxima thing. It's because it's bad. So, Oxima's Awakening. Good enough. And JP says, Tieflings are fun. Tieflings can be fun. They can also be assholes. But they can be fun. Alright, we got our general feat. Perception Expertise. I'm going to assume that does exactly what it sounds like. So, Perception over here. We can make these yellow. So now we have expertise in those. Skill increase. Get to increase one of my skills. I've already increased all of my yellows to green, so now I think what I'm going to do... I think I'm going to upgrade crafting. And the reason being is, as a wizard, I like my spell books. It would be nice if I could make my own spell books. So we'll take that. And the last thing that we need then is the wizard weapon expertise. What is that? Through sheer experience, you improve your technique with your weapons. Your proficiency ranks for simple weapons and unarmed attacks increases to expert. I don't think I wrote that down. Okay. I can do that now. I'll just come down here. Weapon proficiencies. So, unarmed, simple, martial, and advanced. I believe that were those were the categories. And so I can do that, and then my weapon proficiencies are going to both go up to expert. So there we go. And again, this is all going to get rearranged and it'll be made better. For right now, though, that's the best I can do. So, coming back up here, is there anything else for level 11? No, there's not. So we get to level 12 then. And level 12 is a skill feat and a wizard feat. And again, I should not dread going to look for a skill feat, but here we are. So is there anything new at level 12? Actually, you know what? Let's just go with all skills and see if there's anything new for level 12. So we'll group by level. Level 12 has 6 results. So, emergency medical assistance requires Swordmaster, Dedication, and Master in Medicine. Not for us. Operatic Adventurer. Requires Acrobat Dedication or Celebrity Dedication. Nope. Play to the Crowd, Dandy Dedication. Recollect Studies. Swordmaster Dedication. Rugged Survivalist. Swordmaster Dedication. What the fuck? Why do 4 out of the 5 so far require Swordmaster Dedication? Why is level 12 exclusively dedicated to the Swordmaster? Why does no other class in the game get anything else at level 12? Who the absolute hell designed this? And why are they not fired yet? I don't care if they've been fired to the unemployment line. I don't care if they've been fired out of a cannon. I don't care if they've been fired at the wall. Why are they not fired yet? Too angry to die. I wish I was. And the prerequisite is a master in intimidation. I don't get to pick anything from here. There is nothing in level 12 for me. And JP says, making spell books and tomes should have a scribing time component. Book will be penned in 1 month. Now, I didn't say penned in, I said made, as in pages, binding, covers, make the book. Writing the book could be a different crafting check. But okay, here I am. I'm looking at level 12 and there's nothing here. There's nothing at all here. This is garbage. The fact that if you're a Swordmaster, congratulations, now you have 4 options, while everybody else has none. I mean, was it just somebody's favorite dedication? Was it somebody's favorite class, and so they decided to make everything suit themselves? Flower Street Infamy requires Dandy Dedication. We saw that one. We saw all of these, actually. Let's see. No, we can't do that one. We can't do that one. Can't do that one. Can't do that one. Level 8. Let's see. Can't do that one. Can't do that one. Can't do that one. Well, no. Diverse recognition. Technically, it says you have to be a Pathfinder agent dedication. I suppose if I removed that, then technically I could take diverse recognition. That takes another dedication. We ain't got that one. These are... Oh, are these so bad? Why are they all so bad? Master in Nature, Animal Trainer Dedication. Rally Support. Guerrilla Dedication. Recognize Threat. Pathfinder Agent Dedication. You don't take a dedication, you can't do a goddamn thing. These are not feats for everyone. If you needed a dedication, put it under the damn dedication, okay? Get it out of this list. Get it out. Stop putting stuff in here that people are not allowed to take. Level 7 has 71 entries. I'm not going through all these right now. You know what? Forget the skill feat. I don't even care anymore. I don't care. This is stupid. I hate the skill feats. Let's look at wizard feats instead. Is there something over here worth taking? There usually is. Clever counterspell is right there. We didn't take counterspell earlier. We took non-lethal spells. So we can't take that one. Forcible energy. You perform complex manipulations to make energy a spell so powerful that enemies remain vulnerable to it afterwards. If your next action to cast a spell that deals energy damage, you can select one target that was damaged to gain weakness 5 until the end of your next turn. So it's basically the opposite of resistance. We had overwhelming energy before that could go through resistance, and now forcible energy that can force a weakness. I like it. Keen magical detection. You sense magical dangers. When using Detect Magic Exploration, you can roll initiative twice and use the better result so long as one opponent has a magical effect or magical item and is in range of your Detect Magic. Useful, but situational. Magic Sense. You have a literal 6th sense for ambient magic in your vicinity. You can sense the magical presence of magical auras as though you were always using the first rank Detect Magic spell. This detects magic in your field of vision only. When you seek, you gain the benefits of 3rd rank. Interesting. So, like, we took Arcane Sense earlier at level 10 as a skill feat. This is essentially Arcane Sense, but it's always on. I'll take it, although I would really like to trade Arcane Sense out for something else then. Although, again, that requires finding something that's actually usable. But you know what? I'll take it. And JP says, how do I know they have a magic item? I'd need to know that if I were to apply the bonus to the advantage roll. Okay, let's go back and look at that again. Magic Sense. So you can sense the presence of magic auras as though you're always casting 1st rank magic. It only detects in your field of vision. When you seek, you gain the benefits of 3rd rank. In addition to the benefits of normal seeking, you can turn this on and off. So, okay. The benefits are already spelled out. So, we're going to go back to magic. And like I said, I know we're running over time here, but it's okay. We'll go a little bit late. Detect Magic. Now, Detect Magic is a cantrip. And like all cantrips, it gets upcast. So every cantrip gets cast up to half of your level. So you don't even need to consciously do this. It just happens. So it says here that Detect Magic. You send out a pulse that registers a presence of magic. Basically, it's magical sonar. You receive no information beyond the presence or absence of magic. So it's very binary. You can choose to ignore magic you're fully aware of, such as the magic items and ongoing spells of you and your allies. You can detect illusion magic only if that magic's effect has a lower rank than the rank of your detect magic spell. However, items that have an illusion aura but aren't deceptive in appearance, such as invisibility potions, are typically detected normally. So that's normal. Now, heightened to 3rd, which is what we were talking about. It says right here, when you seek, okay, when you seek, and that is a very specific thing, you gain the benefits of 3rd rank magic. So when you seek, we go back to this. You learn the rank or level of the most powerful magical effect the spell detects, as determined by the GM. So, if somebody has a magical item, magical items are going to have levels now. If they have a magical spell on them, the spell already has levels. And you will be able to determine what the highest level in the area is. It doesn't tell you what it is, but it does tell you what the level is. And then, if we heighten it to level 4, it says as 3rd rank, but you also pinpoint the source of the highest rank magic. So, you're not going to know necessarily what it is, but you can point to that guy. That guy has the magic. And so that is essentially what Magic Sense is going to give us. Now, the only thing that I see on here as a problem is it says Archetype Lich. And at this point, I'm so angry that I don't even care. I don't care. I'm so goddamn tired of all these archetypes and devotions and everything else that says that you're not allowed to play or use any of this stuff unless you play the game we want you to play it. Like, why is so much of this game just predetermined for you? This goes back to the argument that I had in the very first episode, looking at the wizard, where it says, role-playing the wizard. During combat encounters, you should do this. During social encounters, you should do this. While exploring, you should do this. Well, guess what? If you want to take feats, you should take this. If you want to take this skill, you should take this. Why is so much of this goddamn game determined for you, told to you, instructed to you? Let your players play the goddamn game. Stop telling them what to do. Stop telling them how to play. Stop telling them what they have to take. Okay, we had prerequisites in 1st edition, alright? And they were fine. But if you didn't have the prerequisite, you could still take any number of things from the rest of the list. Here, in 2nd edition, you have 0 options. For almost every single level. 0. And I'm so done with it. If I was running this at my table, I would ban dedications. I would ban the dedications, I would ban the archetypes, and I would strip them from literally every single spell, skill, feat, and spell. Just so that everything opened up, and you could actually do things again. Because this, as it stands, is basically goddamn unplayable. And it makes me so unbelievably angry. I really hope that person that commented on the first or second stream comes back and tries to tell me that I'm wrong on this one, because I would love to hear somebody defend this and explain to me why this isn't wrong. Okay, I really want to hear it. So, I have everything here up to level 12 except for this one skill, and I have no idea what I'm going to put in that slot. I'll go looking for something. Maybe I can find something. And JP says, you're going to get some comments on this one. I didn't get any comments on the last one. So, I don't know. Maybe I won't. But I'd love to hear it. I really would. Next time when we come back, I will find something to fill this in. I'll find something to fill this in before we come back, actually. And next time we come back, we'll look at spells. I know we looked at spells a little bit today, but we weren't actually looking to build a spell book. So, next time, we'll be building a spell book. Hopefully that goes better. I mean, if they've ruined spells in some way, I will write this off. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it gets better. But otherwise, I'm going to leave it off today. Like I said, I'm already late. So, if you're enjoying this, I don't know if you would be or not, but if you want to, you can subscribe to the channel, you can hit the bell icon, that way you get more of it. If you know somebody else who likes Pathfinder and Starfinder, and especially if they know more than I do, and they can explain some of these absolutely mind-boggling decisions, then share this with them. And JP says, "Are you going to make us use this?" Well, no, actually, I'm not going to make anybody use this. The reason why I'm trying to do this, is because it's a thing, okay? Pathfinder 2 is here. It's not going anywhere. All right, it's here to stay. Starfinder 2 is here to stay. Now, Pathfinder 1st Edition and Starfinder 1st Edition aren't going anywhere. We can continue to play with those. But these are the new generation. As I'm doing these modules, I should really be making them dual purpose. Okay? I should be making them to work with both 1st Edition and 2nd Edition. So that nobody is forced to play it, but the option to play it is there. And that's the whole purpose of learning this. Now, does anybody want to play this? I gotta be honest, right now, I don't. I am not happy with this game so far. Especially after today. This has been awful. And right now, I'm seeing absolutely no reasons to jump ship. Now, does that change later on? I don't know. It's got an uphill struggle for me. Because I don't see it right now, but it has time to change my mind, and I really, really hope that it changes my mind. I really do. So, if you like what I'm doing here, if you like what I'm doing, if you just like me, leave a like on the video. You leave comments down below. If you leave comments down below, don't forget that you can still join the Discord. And if you join the Discord, not only can you play games with us, but like if you want to correct me in real time, like between episodes, if you want to go and just like write an entire rant on the Discord, you can. In fact, if you join the Discord, we can even have a conversation about it. All right? And we can work this out, and you can teach me everything that you think that I am missing. I welcome it. So, please, for me, join the Discord. Come talk with us. Come play with us. And if not that much, then at least, come back here next week where we keep trying to do this. Best I can offer. So, hopefully I see you there. Hopefully I see you back here next week. And until then, take care.